Hey everybody, this is Dimensions of the Supernatural. I'm Maureen Grudzinski, otherwise known as Lila Witchy, and I'm here with my fantastic co-host, Anthony Simonelli, otherwise known as...
Hey, Mr. Fuhgeddaboudit, how you doing today?
So as usual, we have another fantastic guest. I met her at Gettysburg Battlefield Bash, and I think Anthony kind of met her on the fly, but she is paranormal sweetheart. We have a lot to talk about, and she has some amazing connections. So without further ado, this is Jerri Holt.
Hello,
Hey,
everybody.
Hi.
Hi.
How you doing?
Let's get to it, because I know that you have to leave a little bit early because of your son.
Yeah. The whole parenting thing, you know.
We want to make sure that you have time.
He gets a little witchy if he doesn't go to bed on time.
I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah.
So, you grew up in what my husband calls a flyover state.
Somewhere you never go, you just fly over. Yeah.
You fly over, you look at all of the cornfields and the other stuff.
It's very true. Yeah, it's very true. You know, I like to say it was like small town living, but in a not so small town. So I grew up in Council Bluffs, which is the southwest corner of Iowa. And it's directly across from Omaha, Nebraska, which is a nice, like mid-sized large city. So it was just divided by the Missouri River. So I kind of got the small town values and upbringing, but we were just right next to the larger city. So I kind of got a little bit of both, but I like to think of myself more as like a small town girl, like coming from a small town. That's definitely how it felt more to me.
Living in a lonely world.
Exactly. There's still some things where I'm like, what are people talking about? And then I realized how sheltered I was growing up.
Aww.
That's okay, though. I think it made me who I am.
Well, you're in a big
Sometimes
world
I wish I
now.
was from a small town. Yeah.
What's that?
Sometimes I wish I was from a small town.
Where are you from?
From Queens, New York.
Oh,
City.
really?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. I've been in New York, but I have not been to Queens before.
Yeah.
But I would like to go to
They
Queens.
push us to the side. Everything's Manhattan, and then you got the other boroughs around it, with Queens and everything. So but yeah, it is what it is.
I have been to like Brooklyn, around that area, but I just haven't been to Queens.
Yeah. So it's Brooklyn. It's like Brooklyn-ish too. So.
Do you live there now, or where do you guys
That's where I
live?
am right now.
I don't even know where you guys live.
I'm in the Wilkes-Barre Scranton area of Pennsylvania, so where
Okay.
The Office was filmed.
Oh, okay, nice.
Nice. New York, where everything is filmed.
New York.
New York. I'm from
You
New
can tell
York.
by the accent.
A
I
little
don't have
bit,
the
maybe
accent.
a
You
tiny
guys
bit.
got it.
But I
New York
can't
don't
tell,
have
like, because some people from New York, they don't have the accent, or they just saying they're from New York because they lived there a couple years. Do you have to have the accent? Is that a prerequisite? You have to have that accent if you're from New York?
Well,
I
the whole
think-
thing is, New Yorkers don't have accents. Everybody else in the country does. New Yorkers don't have the accent. Everybody else does.
Whatever.
Touché.
You know what I'm saying?
I love that. People tell me sometimes I've got an accent from Iowa, but I don't think that I do. But some people tell me that.
I think there's a little southern twang on the end of whatever you say, but it's adorable.
Don't know where that's from. It could be it could be anywhere.
No
I
twang.
did live in Georgia for a bit. Maybe it's from there.
So you
Traveler.
you had grown up in this is just to kind of like segue into
Sure.
Louise' question. So you had grown up in a haunted home, and it was only affecting women.
Yes. But there's an interesting part of that I just found out. So my cousin Michelle also on the same side, my mother's side, she grew up, she had haunted houses as well. And I actually just found out from her recently that sensitivities and gifts run along my mom's side of the family in the women. So it actually kind of makes sense that my
Okay.
dad and brother never experienced it. I just always took it all these years as it was fine with men, it didn't like women. But once she had told me that, it kind of put the piece together and I was like,
Mhm.
okay, that makes sense then. I mean, I can't say for sure that that's why, but I thought that it was interesting. Definitely
Okay.
something to note. Yeah, but I don't know. Besides that, I wouldn't know why.
Well,
Was
maybe
it
they did have it, and they just don't, pursue it.
Yes,
You know,
I would imagine that.
because in my family, all the women have it. I'm the only male in my family that's sensitive and I can see and everything. I've been doing it for years, so
Well, you're open to it as
I'm,
well.
I'm open to it very much. That's how I got into this. I've been seeing stuff since 3 years old, so you know, and I open myself to it. But maybe they are sensitive, and they're just being thick-headed and saying, "Nah, I'm fine." You
And
know,
that could be, I don't know, but they both have said that they've seen, heard nothing, just absolutely
you know,
nothing. So, yeah, so I'm not sure. I mean, some of the things were pretty obvious in the house. So, they weren't all just things that you would push away and be like, "Oh, no, I'm imagining it."
like
So,
what was going on there?
um things were constantly getting turned on. I was getting whispered in my ear, footsteps. I remember my sister one time was taking a bath and she was hearing footsteps on the stairs and she just sat on the floor, like huddled up until my family came home. Things would get thrown off my dresser and be on the floor. Um, things like that, a lot of eerie things. I think that was in my teenage years. So I would think that it was maybe possibly some kind of poltergeist with things moving and turning on and things like that. But the people who lived there previously came to the corner one day when we were sitting outside. We rented. They stopped at a stop sign and they said, "Do you live here?" And my mom was like, "Yes, we live here." And they're like, "The house is haunted." And I'm like, yeah, no crap, it is. So I would think it would maybe be attributed to the teenage women in the house, me and my sister, but I don't think that it was that because the people who lived there before. But that house, the last straw, because it was just ongoing creepy things with I would constantly hear my name get called. I was on the phone talking to my friends one day, and a man's voice came on the phone and said my name and like said something else, and it wasn't anyone in my house or in her house. So there was just so many things, and it's been 20 years. So I'm sure that there's a lot that I don't remember, but I remember bits and pieces. And I think that if I was to go back now, I would notice a lot more than I did then because I was also a teenager and more into my friends and boys and all things like that.
were you scared?
Not not as scared until the last thing happened and a fire started in my bedroom. And there was no cause for it or reason. And after that, we moved. No outlet, electrical, nothing caused it. I had a halogen lamp that was not plugged in or turned on, and just the rim of it started on fire. You know, those round rims on halogens? It was just a ring of fire on that. And there was
Wow,
absolutely nothing around it. And
and
so
it wasn't
after that,
plugged in.
it was not plugged in,
Wow,
Wow.
wasn't close, nothing. My dad ran upstairs, took it, put it in the bathtub, but it was just something that we couldn't explain. And honestly, I can't say for sure. You never really can in this field if something's paranormal or not. But our gut was saying it was, and that was just we'd had enough and we fled the house basically. But the house also just had an extremely uncomfortable, eerie feeling around it as well, very negative feeling. To the point that still to this day, 20 years later, I have nightmares about it. Um, I think it was the thing that started me on my paranormal journey, the paranormal interest in me.
So it could have even been something that didn't like women, or it could have been because you were, female and you were in your teens. It could have been something that was hormonal, you know, Because if it was doing things like, I mean, it was obviously trying to get your attention, but if it was setting fires, that's not something that.
That's not cool.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not typical of just a haunting, which is
Yeah.
why we left. We weren't going to stick around and see what happened. But yeah, I still have nightmares about that place, going in there and it being haunted. But it doesn't look the same on the inside, but it always looks the same on the outside in my dreams. But in my dreams, I'm terrified of it and going in there. I've always now that I'm an investigator, I so badly want to go back into that house and find out what was in there. And I realized that that haunting wasn't near as severe and serious as some other hauntings were, but it was the one thing that started my fascination with it.
Yeah.
Ever since then, it's been.
Have you ever done any property research? Like, have you?
I tried. I couldn't find anything, but I tried to do it from afar. So I moved away from there a long time ago. So if I went there and tried to find records, I might be able to find it, but I haven't found anything online.
Did your mother and anybody else experience it since they were already sensitive also?
My mother and my sister did as well. We all did.
Any other family outside came and visited and they, okay, I can't stay here?
Not that I'm aware, but I can't remember that at that time. It was so long ago and I was just not paying attention to that stuff. So I just know what me and my family experienced, but it's possible. I could ask my mom that. I haven't asked her that.
Maybe you can still do this from afar without going online. Maybe call like the local, county courthouse or do something like that. Because if it's still haunting your dreams, it's something that's affecting you. Definitely.
It is. And I still drive past every time I go back to visit. Once just recently, I always drive past it and I just stop and stare at it.
Yeah.
But I don't know who lives there anymore. And I'm not going to be some creeper that strolls up with my equipment and be like, let me in, you know?
Well, Oofy's even saying, is there any possibility that the house was built on or around Native American,
It's possible. It's possible. When I lived in it, it was 100 years old as well. So, I mean, I could always send you pictures of it, Maureen, at some point, and you can see if you get anything off of it.
Yeah, I would love that. I love doing the background on things.
Yes, I'd be interested to see if you get any kind of feelings or anything off of that.
Yeah.
It was just a creepy house, but I had experiences in almost every single place I lived. And I know in that house, I also saw my cat that had died. Very clear. It had looked into the window and was staring at me for a little bit and then walked off. So maybe the energy in the house allowed that to happen. I'm not sure. Or just me being younger. I don't know. But
maybe you're just a beacon. You're a beacon.
Maybe.
You're drawing it off. Because you just said you had, everywhere you went, you had some sort of activity or something. So maybe
she's haunted, not the house.
That comes to you. You know what I mean?
It does, yes.
Like you're haunted. It's like you go locations and stuff, and spirits feel more comfortable around you because your energy and because the way you're spirited and everything. And they will come to you. And it's not that you're haunted. It's just a thing that they'll come to you because they feel drawn to you. So it's a possibility.
That's probably not the best way to word it, but I think
I do understand what you're saying, though. Definitely, I'm open to it. I can feel a lot of it. I can't see, I can't see it with my eyes, but I can feel the things around me for sure.
You can see it more here.
Sometimes I have before. There have been incidences where I've just known things that I wouldn't know, just very randomly. It's nothing that I can control, but it's just odd things have come to me once in a while.
Yeah. So you're probably old soul. And it's coming, stuff does come to you. You know what I mean? Because it feels comfortable with you and stuff. I mean, sometimes I know if you want to see and if you're ready for it, because once you start seeing it, you will. Just sit and concentrate on what's going on. Just sit and concentrate and see what comes to your mind. Just let your mind go blank.
I do that a lot when I'm investigating. I tend to go off on my own a little bit and sit and quiet and things like that. So I do try to do things. I would like to be able to accelerate it a little bit. I know that there are things I can do to accelerate it. So I would like to do that. I do notice that the more that I investigate and the more I kind of wrap myself up in this, I get a little bit more sensitive to things and can see, hear, and such a little bit more. So
You're opening yourself
it's been
up.
very apparent the last year. What's that?
You're opening yourself up to it, which is a good thing, but you're going to have to learn to shut yourself down too. And that's something you're going to have to figure out on your own. See, I draw when I see something, and I just concentrate and I see and I draw it now. Besides getting, trying to get it on my cameras and stuff, doing investigation, but I draw it. So, I mean, even if you have an idea of what, if you don't exactly see it, and you get like an idea of what you might be hearing or seeing and stuff, just write it down. And
I like that. I will try that. Thank you,
write it down.
Anthony.
And
That's a good idea.
the more you're around people like you, which I think you tend to, like when you're like us, you tend to gravitate toward people who do the same types of things. You can kind of almost borrow gifts, or people can lend gifts to others. So you're probably doing that also.
I didn't know that you could do that. That's interesting. I've never heard of that before.
Yeah, you can kind of like take gifts from people. And I think that you kind of have to also be a little bit careful with your own gifts, because if you're really open, people can kind of energy vampire off of that as well, and steal what you do have. So just be really careful with that. But if you're around people that you trust, you can kind of share what you do have and help to open up the other things that you didn't have, but use what you had originally, and then just kind of like, share what other people do have.
Nice. Yeah, you do have to tend to stay away from people that kind of energy vampires, people who I try to avoid anybody like that. I just have no interest in that, and I don't really want to feel that way because I tend to pick up the energy around people. So if I'm around somebody that is draining, it just really throws me off. And so I've learned to just avoid people like that altogether.
And it seems to be getting worse and worse and worse and worse these days. So, like,
just stay away
especially on social media, and you can kind of almost feel it when you're starting to feel tired. Just be around people who are very positive and are starting to like help build you up as much as you build them up. Just be very cautious around it.
Thank you. Definitely. Very sound advice.
Yeah, I'm learning that myself.
It's hard, because a lot of people just want to focus on negative things and stuff like that. And I've got like girlfriends that we chat with and stuff like that. And we, things like that. But in general, I try to surround myself with things that aren't, because I do feel that, and it will affect me and affect the rest of my day. And I try to just completely go away from that.
If you go into an investigation with all that negativity also, it doesn't help neither. I mean,
exactly.
It's going to hinder whatever evidence you may pick up, or it just might, they're going to drain you because you have a negative, your feeling or whatever you might have, and the spirit will come and definitely drain you. And because
absolutely.
that energy, they want negativity. You go in with a positive attitude, you're going to see a lot of evidence. You're going to see it's a lot better, it's a different investigation, because when I first started, you were with people, negative people, and you always thought you had to challenge spirit. You don't have to challenge it. Just let it
no, I never do that. I go in very respectfully. I'm never like, show yourself, nothing like that. But I am very careful with what you're talking about, because I do feel it so strong. So I have to be careful, because when I go into locations, I can easily feel what's in there. And if it's a very strong energy, I've had to walk outside many times before because of heart palpitations. It almost causes me like a severe anxiety feeling, if that makes sense, hair on end. feelings on my skin, feeling like I can't breathe. Almost feels like you're walking into a room full of humidity and you can't breathe, things like that. So I have to be very careful sometimes when I go places because it triggers that. So when I go in somewhere, I just, whatever is going on in my life, I have to just leave it at the door and go inside, and I'm there to kind of do a job, but still enjoy, I still enjoy myself, but I just leave everything at the door at that point.
That's humidity. The best piece of tool. I always said the best piece of tool you could use on an investigation is your own intuition. It's your own body.
Mm-hmm.
If you feel something that's not going to be good, get yourself out of there. You don't, I mean, we want, and you're going to hear me say later on, we want to look for ghosts, not be a ghost. Just get yourself out of certain situations, because you don't want, if you go into a certain location, you might have that attachment come home with you, which you don't want. It might be there a couple months, it might be there for years.
Yes.
Just don't put yourself into a situation where you're going to get yourself sick. So just your best piece, all the equipment that we have, the best piece of equipment is your own body, your own feeling.
Oh, yeah.
Your fears and whatever. Go with what you feel. The first thing you feel, if you feel not safe, get yourself out of there. That's the way you have to.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I don't tend to go towards those kind of dark haunting type places. I have went some places that have some things that might be a little dark inside, or was rumored to, like Bobby Mackey's. Mm-hmm. I didn't have any experiences in there. I know Connie, who I went with, brought home an attachment from there. But when we were there, absolutely nothing happened. Mm-hmm. But other than that, I tend to not go into locations really that have something really bad in them. Not for my kind of recreational, investigations. Now, if we're talking about a residential haunting and somebody needs help, that's a different story, but you've got mm-hmm. a whole team there. You have the tools that you need. But if I'm going to do something for fun, an investigation, it's usually kind of a larger place that's not really known for having anything terrifying for you, sadness, of course, that's there. You can feel it when you walk in, like Waverly, it's very sad, but it was a good time going there. But
it's really interesting that you say that nothing showed up or happened at Bobby Mackey's, because, there's some of the bigger shows that are like mm-hmm. demons, and see nothing.
And that could be attributed to different things. Like maybe something just doesn't want to at that time. Maybe it isn't there at that time. Maybe it stepped away. Maybe it comes in and out of a portal. You just have no idea, but nothing. Absolutely. We tried all kinds of different equipment, went different places, pictures, audio, anything you can think of, and not a lick of evidence. Not one thing. I get more evidence in just smaller, no-name places than mm-hmm. I tend to get in some of those bigger ones. So I did get a lot at Pennhurst, but some of those other bigger ones, I don't get as much as I do in some of the smaller locations, which is interesting. But there was a location, probably one of them that was the most active for me, was a place that had never been investigated before. It was an old school over on the west coast of Florida, up towards Newport Richey. I'm not going to say the name because I don't want people bothering the people, because it's not open for investigations, but they just happened to let us in there to do it. And it was so active. There was lights going on and off, just the general feeling in there. The equipment was going off. The obelisk was spitting out words that were correlating with what we were asking. Just every piece of equipment was going off, as well as just the general feeling. And this was towards the beginning of me investigating. So I had a lot of fun with it. But when I left, I'm driving home in the middle of the night and I'm kind of creeped because there was just so much activity, and I kept having to go outside there because I kept feeling like I was about to have a heart attack or something. So something about the place, just when I was walking out the place, going to my car, it just felt like something was following me, but it didn't. I don't really think there was anything negative there. I think it was just a lot there. There were a lot of children there. It used to be a children's school. It used to be, and there were children's spirits there that were communicating, or, something wanting to think you would. I don't know. But like I said, this was early on in my investigating. But when I got home, I went to bed, and I was fine. Now, I don't know if this is any relation to that location, but that location, I had to stop driving home and get out of my car and go in a gas station because I was still creeped out from the location. And about a week later, I'm laying in bed and I'm getting ready to go to bed. I shut the lights off. I lay in bed and something in my ear went, Jerri. And I jumped out of bed. It sounded like an echo, like my name sounded like an echo. So I don't know if I heard it in my ear or if I heard it in here. I'm not sure. But whatever it was, it freaked me out. And I jumped out of bed and I turned the light on and basically just stood there panicked. Because, it's one thing if you're out on an investigation. It's another thing after you have a strong one and you're like, what is that at 2 a.m.,
Yeah, well, you're going to start going out. You're going to start getting stuff like that, That,
that happens. This was a long time ago. And so lucky enough, things don't tend to bother me too much at my house. I do have a ghost cat, but aside from that, nothing really bothers me.
Maybe it's a ghost familiar.
A ghost familiar? What's that?
Like a familiar, but it's a ghost.
Like a person? Or what do you mean?
No, you said it was a ghost cat. So maybe that's familiar.
Like when I know, do you mean?
Yeah, like it's your familiar, like a witch familiar. So that's yours.
Oh, my cat. I think so. Instead of 2, I've got 3 basically. I've named it Goblin.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's kind of cat. You have to feed it.
Yeah.
I know. I should just leave a third dish out all the time
and just walk out.
Right. It seems to love my cats that I have here, but it creeped me a bit because I could feel it crawling on my bed and things like that. And it started to mess with the doors and stuff. And it was like, yeah, you're creeping me out a little bit, but it doesn't creep me out as much as I think it probably would a normal person. As you can probably attest, when you start investigating for a while, you get a little bit desensitized to things. So some things that might send someone else in a tizzy, I'm a little bit more chill about.
Yeah, it's better than like Hat Man crawling on your bed or, like a real goblin or whatever.
Yeah, I would prefer to not experience that.
Yeah, you do it as long as I have. You just get numb to it now.
What's that?
You do as long as I have. You just get numb to it.
Something on my bed. It's the bed thing. Like when I'm out on location, you want to experience that stuff. Like it'd be amazing. I love the things that I've seen and heard and caught and stuff like that. But yeah, when you're laying in bed at night, I don't think there's any point where I'll ever be like, that would be so cool if something just crawled into my bed with me and cuddled me.
So that was my first like real solid full body apparition. I had surgery, and when I rolled over, he was laying right next to me, but it wasn't scary. It was like, I want more. I just want to see more of this person, it was just amazing because that's like the holy grail of
absolutely
ghosting investigations,
I have seen shadows. I would really like to see something a little more clearer. I'm hoping over time that I'll be able to see more things, but right now it's just shadows and stuff like that.
Yeah, but once you get to that point and you start seeing them solid, it's different. I mean, like I said, you're gonna have to learn to shut down at times.
Sure.
You'll see too much. I'm in Times Square in the city and I see more people that's there. So, so you have to learn to shut down. It's like, instead of 10,000 people, it's 30,000 people. It's like, and they're walking through cars and everything. It's like, okay. So.
Well, then it makes you wonder, doesn't it? Like, do I see things, but I don't realize that's what it is? Like, doesn't it make you wonder that sometimes if you do see things that aren't really there, but you don't know that at the time?
There's like 100 people. How many are real?
Exactly. I do wonder that sometimes. I do wonder sometimes.
Was going to work one morning, and it was like 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm leaving and I live in a cooperative. So I walk past the stairs. I'm on the fifth floor. Look down the stairs, and I can see the other apartment doors down at the lower level. I'm on the fifth floor. On the fourth floor. One morning, I'm going out, and I'm looking down, and one of the old ladies was on, like her door was open, and she's staring, and she's like looking out. She's in her nightgown with a cover over her head and stuff. So I went, went to work, came back that night, and I said, yeah, that lady downstairs, right over there by the stairs. And she goes, yeah, what about? I said, I seen her this morning. She was staring out. She was staring out the door. And she's just standing there looking around. And she goes, she died 3 weeks ago.
Oh,
And I'm like,
oh
what?
man.
She died. I seen her solid, like somebody that was
That is crazy.
solid. I thought it was a person. I thought it was, what's she doing out? I figured maybe she's getting old. She's, looking out her door 5 o'clock in the morning, But yeah, my wife said she died like 3 weeks before that. So that was a little freaky. So like I said, you wouldn't
That
get to
is
that point.
freaky. Now, I want to know then the creepiest thing you each have encountered ever.
The creepiest thing.
There's so much.
What's something that off the top of your head? What are you thinking?
I know the story already. Everybody heard it on the air already. But go ahead. You want
Go
to
ahead,
go
Anthony,
first?
you do yours first.
Mine was at Hinsdale, and there goes your ghost cat there. So I see a head in the background. Is that your son? There's somebody in your background there. You, Jerry. There's nobody behind
Yes.
you.
Yes. He wrote me a note. So when
Oh, there he goes. Hi.
people can see you.
Hi.
So his bedroom's next to mine. He wrote me a note to slyly pass to me that says, I can hear you telling scary stories and it's scaring me.
I won't tell my story.
Well, it's fine. I'm writing him
He's up
back.
behind the chair. He's still there. I don't want to scare him.
It's totally fine. I told him he's
All right.
supposed to hang out in his room. I gave him my phone so he could play some like video games or something on my phone. Let's see.
I see something coming in. I investigate it. Like, wait a minute.
You're like, is there a child? Wouldn't that be interesting though if I was like, no, I'm alone?
Well,
You should have said that. That would have
one
freaked everybody out.
I should have. I should have been like, no, what are you talking about?
What are you talking
Yeah, but-
about? There's nothing there. Well,
Oh, that would have been so funny. That would have been hysterical. Oh my goodness.
I'll tell you my story. It was in Hinsdale. Like I said, everybody heard this story. This is the one that freaked me out more than anything. I was in Hinsdale. And have you ever been there?
I haven't yet. No, I do want to go there though.
The Hinsdale house has a room with like couches where everybody sits down on the first floor. And as you go in there, under like the staircase, there's like a little room under the staircase, and there's a carriage, and there was a rocking chair at that time. So I had a camera set up, shooting across, and everybody's just relaxing because it was really late at night. So I had the camera going. All of a sudden, something goes, the camera just clicked off. So no, it didn't. So I walk up to the camera, and somebody, it was actually physically shut off, and all you heard was the click of the camera. So I'm like, that's weird. So I behind me, I feel cold. So I turn my self around. I'm like putting my hand up. It's like, this is cold. It is cold spot over here. So one of the guys on my team shot one of the thermal cameras over my way, and the temperature was going down. So that's kind of odd. So there was a carriage there, so I grabbed the carriage. So let me see how cold it got. Maybe the carriage is getting cold too, because it was one of those old carriages, with the I think from the 60s, 50s, 60s. It was an old carriage, maybe 70s, and it was metal handle on it. So I grab it, to see if it was cold, and I got the image of a woman pouring fluid on top of a baby,
What?
lighting the baby up.
That's horrifying. Oh
So
my gosh.
I let go and I left the building. I went outside, and that's the first time you ever see me or ever heard I ever left the location. I went outside, and tears were coming down my face. I wasn't crying; just the tears were coming down, and I was like, "Oh, like holy cat! What did I just see?"
So were you feeling that?
I didn't feel the actually of the burning or anything. I felt the cold of the carriage, of the area. I felt that. That was like my whole arm, the hairs on my arm, everything was standing up. At that time, I did have more hair on my head, so that was standing up too. Maybe that's where my hair went. Yeah, that's where it is.
It
Burned
It
off.
scared itself right off.
I left it in Hinsdale House. So
It's somewhere on the carpet.
yeah, I went outside. My brother comes out. He goes, "You okay?" I'm like, "Yeah." And I tell him what happened. He goes, "Why don't you just come back inside?" I'm like, "Yeah, Hinsdale is like 7 hour drive from me, so I'm going to go. I'm going to finish the investigation." So I go back in, and I'm like, so I'm like, I'm going to touch the carriage again, and see what I see. I touch the carriage again. I see the remains of the baby.
Oh,
Yeah, and I'm like, it's
heartbreaking.
inside my head. I was like, oh, that really freaked me out. So as you
Heartbreaking.
see, I draw what I see. Nobody else. So I drew it that night, and I ended up having. Matter of fact, it was this year at Gettysburg. I had the picture, and Dan from Hinsdale next to me. I said, Dan, in 2016, I seen this woman, and I seen this carriage with a baby in it, and he looks at it, he goes, that's the carriage. I said, what are you talking about? It's a carriage. He goes, oh, somebody bought that. A woman in the area bought that on his, what do you call it? On one of the sales, and estate sale. And she brought it home, and everybody in that house, seen a white woman, a woman dressed in white, standing next to it. So she said it's freaked her family so much out that she brought the carriage to that house.
Oh my goodness.
Okay?
And I was there for this conversation,
Yeah.
and I was there. Anthony told me the story, and it was weird because before he even got to the carriage thing, I saw it in my head, and then Dan was there when he told the story, and I heard the whole thing.
And I'm
Oh my
like,
goodness. That's
are you kidding
scary.
me? I said, I drew this in 2016. He goes, when I first got the house, he goes, that's the woman, that's when they dropped it off. So that's been in the house all that time. And the woman, that's why they got rid of it, because I seen a woman in white. He goes, the other story about the baby and everything, I can't verify, but I can verify there was a woman in white that's been they've been seeing by this carriage for all these years. And I'm like, that's freaky.
Why are they always wearing white too? They're always in white.
There's a reason for that.
What is that? I've always wanted to know.
They
I
were
need to know.
always buried in their Sunday best,
What?
which was usually a white dress.
You know what? I have wondered this for so long, and nobody's ever been able to answer that before. That's really interesting.
And
Well,
usually, if they were a widow, they wore black with the veil, and that might have been their best dress. So they would be seen like that.
That's so interesting. All of my questions in life have just been answered.
Right here on Dimensions of the Supernatural.
Right here, making miracles happen. Oh
So,
my
yeah.
goodness.
So that was my moment that, projected me more into this. And I got to be doing this, I mean, before you were born. So
That long.
you know,
60 years you've been doing it?
how old are you? You're 60 years old?
No, I'm 41. I'm joking.
Got him really good though.
I should have went with it like I am. I just look great. I do live in Florida, you know.
Oh yeah. That's the retirement state.
Basically, I just get so much work done. I'm 60.
48 years.
I'm coming to live with you.
So,
I want to know your story now, Maureen.
Maureen, story.
Okay.
And then we're going to hear your story. Or do we hear yours?
I need a good, scary one.
Well, Anthony scared the shit out of me one night when we were talking after the show, and he said, "What's that black smoke coming out of the corner of your wall?" And I was like, "Nothing. I don't see it." And he kept saying that, and then he said, "Someone tilted." Yeah, and then he said, "Someone tilted into the screen." So that was like a quick one, but so I came home from Mexico, and my cats were playing in the closet, and they were kittens. They were tiny, and they were playing in my closet, and I took my closet doors off because they like screeched, and I couldn't stand them. So I put these really pretty shower curtains up, and the curtains just kept moving around like as if the cats were like tumbling inside of it. And I was like bent over, putting something in a drawer next to it. And all of a sudden, I just said, I don't know. I said, what silly kitty's playing in the closet? And all of a sudden, I like just went like this to the shower curtain, and I watched a hand come out of the shower curtain like a punch, and it came at my face.
Oh my gosh.
Like this. And I kind of moved the curtain a little bit, and the curtain just went like it was being ripped back, and I ripped the curtain open. There was nothing inside of my closet. There were no cats, there were no dogs, nothing. And when I ripped the curtain back, something grabbed both of my ankles and pulled me underneath the bed.
Oh my gosh.
And
that's terrifying.
Nothing scares me. Nothing. Like, I've been through a lot of stuff in my lifetime. I let out this scream. And I know that I'm really not supposed to be using the F word in this, but I was like, who the F do you think you are messing with me in my house? And before I could be like dragged under the bed, I grabbed the wall and I yelled to my ex-husband. My son came running, and he's like, what is going on? And at the same moment that he like finished that sentence, I hear this, yip! The dog was kicked down the stairs.
Oh my gosh.
And I said, if you're going to mess with my effing animals, that's where shit's going to stop. And then all of a sudden, one of the cats got hurt. Like, it just started to snowball. And I was like, why? Why all of a sudden? So here it turned out all of us had been in Mexico. I was really sick. Like, I got really, really sick. And we had all been in salt water. So everything was wide open. My son was like a beacon. I was like a beacon. We were both in the same home. And I called someone into the house because I was just starting to like really learn what was going on with me. I was wide open, and I had gifts since I was a kid, but this was like, I had been taking Reiki 1, Reiki 2, doing, psychic development classes. I was having people teach me things. There were dead people walking through my house all over the place. I had a decapitated kid on my couch. I opened my pantry. There was music.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, Anthony said, just make sure that you're not wide open. I didn't know how to stop it at this point. It was just one thing after another. And I was by myself in the house, and I was just trying to figure things out. And the woman that came to my house, she had been doing readings at the place that I was taking classes. And I'm like, I need you to figure this out with me. I don't know what to do. About a mile down the road from us, there is like an old quarry with the coal company. There were powder explosions. People were driving horse-drawn carriages over a train crossing, and this one particular guy, he just got hammered by a train, and everything just blew into like tiny sticks. His watch was found in somebody's garden.
Horrid.
Town. People were dying all over the place. So this particular person who was in the house, she was beaten by her father when she was a really young girl, to the point where she had a very, very low IQ. And her name was Marguerite. She looked like the girl from The Ring.
Oh, that character still creeps me out, even though it's like fictional, the show. It is still
imagine having it in your own house. I mean, it was just bizarre. So I would either see like this, and it was black, greasy hair. And she had kind of like it wasn't like a black and white dress. It was a blue and white dress, and it was dirty. And she had a basket over her arm, and her face was kind of disfigured. So like, he wasn't just beating her over the head and she lost her IQ. She was just beaten all the time. And I would get
so sad
information. So it turned out that she lived till she was like 60 something, but it was like parts of things were coming to me, but this girl came to me and she was helping me like with the closure of this. And she said, what I'm getting is she was beaten by her father, and like little kids like poke and they go hee 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 and they run away. She will punch you in the face and hee 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 and run away. And I said, I need this stopped now. I can't guarantee that she's not going to hurt someone besides me, my animals. I have 2 small tiny kittens that I found under my deck, like those types of things. So I'm very concerned for the well-being of the people in the house. It turned out that her entrance was in the basement, and she would come through a portal, an entrance portal in the basement. The exit was my closet. So I would find all the portals in the house, close them up, sew them up, and leave the exits open so she could get out. Well, she never left. She was feeding off of me because I was sick, and it just got worse and worse. She never left here. She's just kind of like a raisin at this point. She wouldn't leave, but she would take like sandwiches and things to sell to the people at the mines. And she just kind of liked being here, and she wouldn't go. She'd come in and she'd go out, and she'd come back in and she'd go back out. Like, it was just a nonstop thing. So she's here, but she's kind of in like limbo, and there's nobody here that she could feed off of. So she's just kind of existing.
So how long has it been then? How long has she been there?
2016.
Wow. Yeah. So, man, you'd think at that point then, I wonder if she's scared to go like into light, or scared to go somewhere else.
I tried to cross her. She won't go. Probably because usually when I try to cross someone, I say that your family's waiting for you. There's no judgment. There's no guilt. There's no shame. There's no anger. There's no hatred. You know, those kinds of things. Why would she want to go with her family?
Yeah, exactly. After what happened to her,
Yeah.
She probably feels like she has nowhere to go and nobody to go meet over there.
Yeah. So I kind of just said, you can stay here as long as you don't harm anyone. You're not going to be forced out. So she hasn't left. She just, there's no one she can feed off of, because, you know, there's strength here. And every day it's just kind of like, I call all my power back to me.
Yeah.
And she doesn't bother anybody.
That's good then. I mean, if she's not bothering, even though she did at first, if she's not bothering anyone right now, I think that that's nice of you to not be forcing anything and just, you know, coexisting with her.
We
Definitely.
don't really have an option, because we can't just like, okay,
Yeah.
we're going to take you and put you on the
There's
yard.
Zach. Make him come get her. I'm kidding. I'm just
So,
joking.
That's how
Oh
it
my
is.
goodness.
So what's yours?
Yeah, what is yours?
My
You tell
scariest.
us a lot.
Ooh. I would say,
The fire?
well, yeah, obviously that was definitely the scariest. I'm trying to think of something I haven't told you. There was a time where, this happened when we went to Pennhurst, and this was uneasy. I wouldn't say it was real scary, but when I was in the basement, there was a group of us down there, and we were getting a lot. It was an area called Candyland. So I think you two have been to Pennhurst, but for people listening, Candyland is basically a basement type area in Pennhurst where the children stayed. And as a balloon toss is like up around my head.
I was going to say something before.
And we were using various pieces of equipment down there, and certain things were going off. Not right now, buddy. Certain things were going off. And 1 second. I don't have any more markers. That's all I had. That's all I had. You have a whole drawer.
Are you sure you don't want to stay longer?
Right? I know. He wants all my markers, and you have a whole drawer of markers in your room. And I think he's bored in his bedroom, has nothing to do. But where was I at? Okay, so we're in Candyland, and we've got equipment set up all over the room, just everywhere, different types of equipment. EMF detectors, like recorders. There were some pieces of equipment other people brought. I'm not quite sure what exactly they were. There were pieces of equipment that I'm not familiar with, but they would beep if something touched it. Not a REM pod. We had some REM pods there with some other equipment, and it kept walking in front of whatever it was and setting it off. Anyways, there was a certain point where something was in that room and it was setting things off. And all of a sudden, my entire body started vibrating, like shaking and swaying back and forth while vibrating. And I couldn't stop it. Like I was sitting, and I wanted to make sure it wasn't in my head, like anxiety or something. So I'm trying to stand still, but I can't calm it. And I'm just like vibrating and swaying back and forth. And eventually it ended up stopping. And Connie was there. She explained to me that it tends to happen when you get a little more sensitive and something's right by you. It's one of the things that can happen. So I wouldn't say that I was really scared. It was just very unfamiliar, and not being able to control your body is kind of an odd sensation, if you will. But there were, just even, I don't have any crazy experiences like you guys had happening to me, but I would say the fire was the number one, because that was just terrifying and I was younger. But now most of them are just kind of eerie to a certain level, and I haven't encountered anything that is crazy and demonic and trying to get me or anything like that. So, which is very rare anyways. So I'm to be determined, like to be continued on that question.
You're probably better off.
I know, because I'm pretty sure if what happened to you happened to me, I would have just moved. But even though like it was you guys, I probably still would have been like, I'm leaving. I'm never having a curtain up anywhere again. And I'm just putting my mattress on the floor.
You know what though? It's not like she didn't belong here. She was like visiting, it's not like they move.
I know. But still, it still would have just terrified me so bad. I'd have had to just do whatever I could have. I don't know. It's tough because when you start to do this regularly, you almost get desensitized to the things. Yeah. So, when people talk to you about, people ask all the time, what's the scariest things? And sometimes I think some things don't. I feel like if I'm telling a story, it doesn't seem that scary because it's not as scary to me, but maybe to somebody who doesn't do this, that would be terrifying. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And most people wouldn't even go into a room alone in a dark prison that's closed down and talk to something they can't see. Most people won't even do that.
Yeah. And then some people, it's like, what are you doing for vacation? I'm going to a sanitarium.
Oh my gosh. Let me tell you, it's interesting because sometimes I don't know what to say because I'm a single girl here in Tampa. And even just meeting people, if I try to meet, say like guys, what do you do for fun? It's like, you get kind of stumped up like, what, do I want to tell you now or should I not tell you yet and just tell you I'm a foodie and I like dogs and tacos. Like, I don't know, like, what's the right answer? Or do I tell you that I like
tacos and ghost?
buildings? What?
Tacos, beer,
I like ghosts, tacos. I like dogs, tacos, and ghost.
Right, exactly. I'm just like, oh, this could go either way. So sometimes I wait, sometimes I bring it right out, but I'm just like, how do you tell people that,
Yeah, but if you don't tell them, I mean, you're being honest.
I do tell them,
Look
yeah.
at how many people love this stuff. I mean, obviously, if the Paracons are jammed,
I know, exactly. I think that people, though, they also like the idea of it and they like to watch it on TV. And knowing somebody that does it can be kind of scary, But then again, sometimes people kind of look at you like a novelty in a way, which is a whole other thing. But
Jerri, here's what we're going to do. We're going to have a show, Anthony. We're going to have a show strictly set up to hook up Jerri.
Find me a man, you guys, okay? Somebody, whatever you got to do, just bring them to me. No. And he's in the back going, no. He never wants mom to date anybody.
Well, that's how
the only man in your life.
What?
He wants to be the only man in your life.
He does.
That's how my son wants too.
Yeah, he's very protective of me. It'll be very interesting when that happens one day.
Yeah, but then one day he's going to be like, don't you have anything better to do than sit here and look at me?
I'm wondering when that phase will happen. He just turned 9 the other day. So, and he's still kind of mommy's boy, so I am wondering when that
it'll be soon.
I know, it'll be like out of nowhere.
Like next year.
I know.
It might be easier for you at like Paracons or even join a meetup group. They got the meetup groups.
I think that they do. Yeah, they probably do. I'm just so socially.
I know they got them up here.
Like meeting people that I don't know, it just nerve wracks me.
But you're so adorable and you're so sweet.
Well, thank you. But I feel like I clam up and don't know what to say. And I feel like the black sheep amongst people who are talking about their tacos and dogs and beer.
They're not talking about their tacos.
I'm like, I need to get a dog, I think. I feel like I need to get a dog. So I'm kind of normal.
Don't do that. It's a huge pain in the ass to take care of. You can't go anywhere.
I have been having doggy fever a little bit lately.
Get a cat.
I have a couple, I know, but they just don't they don't obsess over me the way I'm really craving an animal to, something that's just like devastated when I walk out the door. Like, since I don't have like a man, like I need an animal to replace that. And my cats are just like, whatever.
No, they obsess for like 20 seconds and then they go and eat your garbage. And spread it all over your bed. Anthony,
they go and
right?
terrorize my furniture and rub their fur on everything.
Or they eat it.
They go steal on my shoes and put them somewhere.
Yeah.
I feel like we've gotten off of the paranormal topic.
Marco said yes. So we're going to have a paranormal dating game.
Oh my God, I would die. I would be beat red the whole time, guaranteed.
That's okay. You could sit in the dark. That's what the paranormal's about.
I love it. Like just a dark shadow of me, and then just don't get any weirdos. Okay, I'm good as long as you don't get any like. Make sure you run a background.
And Anthony can say that he's gonna kill them every 20 seconds.
Hey, don't mess with her. She's a good girl. Leave her alone.
Yeah. Hey,
that sounds good.
You know where we come from?
Hey, just stay away. She's a good girl.
See?
Oh my gosh, I love it. I can just have you guys in the background with that, like the hairy eye in the background. I love it.
These can turn into crazy eyes real quick. We'll bring Connie on so she could go.
Oh my gosh, yeah, because she would know. Yeah, she'd probably know who I'd be like yes and who I'd be no about. I'm very difficult.
The commentary can ask questions, and they can judge. We have a great comment section.
I can't see the comment section. Where is that at? Anyways. Am I not on it? Oh, I wasn't on it. I was just on private chat.
Oh yeah, you have to go to the comments.
They're very loyal.
So
They're great. They're great judges.
What's that?
Because I know you don't have much time. Do you want to promote anything? Do you want to anything going to be at investigation?
Oh, we didn't even talk about PERS and the Warren.
Yeah, we have a few minutes. We can still talk about that stuff. That's okay.
All right.
So I am. So PERS is a Paranormal Existence Research Society, and it's based out of the west coast of Florida by Bill Slevin. Awesome guy. He's also the regional director for the Southwest area of the U.S. for the Warren Family Legacy Foundation, which I'm also a part of. And I am also a part of FPTS, which is Florida Paranormal Truth Seeker. So I've just got a little bit all over the place. That one is led by Rosanna Brookhauser, my really good friend, Red. That's actually the first team I've ever been on. Red's just taken a little bit of a break. She has relocated up to Georgia from Florida. So she's getting her feet on the ground and things like that. And then I think that probably soon she'll get going a little more with FPTS. And she's also taken a pretty big interest in cryptids like Bigfoot and things like that. So she's really into those kinds of things. So hopefully we'll have some stuff going on with that team as well soon. But mostly PERS does residentials. So we do try to do locations for fun as well, but you can go to their website. They have a Facebook page or just online, PERS, Paranormal Existence Research Society. If you think that you need help with a haunting, you have any questions, and we can try to help you. Or else we have the Warren Family Legacy Foundation, which was started by Lorraine Warren and Chris McKinnell, which is Lorraine Warren's grandson. And that is a foundation where we also will help you as well. And it's worldwide. Both of these are no cost to anybody. So I don't want anyone to ever think that to get help, you have to pay something when you don't. You can reach out to any of those, either of those, and they will interview you and determine kind of what the next steps are and things like that. But you're not going to have to pay anything. Everything is just done by people who are passionate about what we do. We like to do this and in turn get to help people. Everybody that's involved with the teams and the foundation just has a passion for helping people for sure. Definitely. And then we will be at MegaCon in Orlando, and we will be doing some panels there. It's pretty big. There's usually hundreds in the panels. And we'll have a table on the first floor there as well. Other than that, you can keep a watch on the Facebook pages and see where we'll be, because they do different libraries, conventions, and things like that. And I do want to mention everything is discreet. So if you reach out to PERS, FPTS, or Warren Legacy Foundation, everything is discreet. Nothing is, your information, your story is never broadcast anywhere. We don't post that stuff online, anything like that. And they are really good people in all of the teams in foundation.
Yeah. You're out there. They're out there just to help, not to, there's too many people out there now trying to make $1 off this. And when you go out there just to help, it's a lot better. I never charge a dime when I did any of my home investigation stuff, because how can you put $1 on somebody grieving over somebody? I can't see
exactly. Well, and a lot of the cases are mental health issues as well, which is, it's very prevalent right now, especially in these times that we're in, and you just never know. And you don't want to take advantage of vulnerable people. It's hard enough to reach out to somebody and say, hey, I need help. I've got something going on. Most people don't want to reach out and feel like they look crazy, or feel like people are going to look at them like they're nuts, or feel like you must be making this up. And that's what they always say. You're going to think I'm crazy, but this. It's like, do you realize this is what we do? We hear it all, You can come to us and there's not one thing that you're going to say that we're going to be like, huh? But it's also not like the TV shows where you're going to reach out and we're going to show up at your house with our gadgets and just be like, it's haunted or it's not. There's a whole process. There's an interview process. We're going to most likely interview you more than once. We're going to ask a lot of questions, a lot of questions about what's going on in the environment, what's going on with you, who's in your household, if you take, medications. There's a whole list of questions that we go through to help people. And we're not just going to come in and determine if something's haunted or not, or if we think you're crazy or not. We're very professional about it, and we're very empathetic and very sensitive to how people might be feeling in these times. And you definitely should not be scared to reach out. That's what we do. That's what we're here for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you go in. Not only you do an interview, you do a EMF sweep of the house, because high EMFs can cause hallucinations and stuff like
Definitely.
that. And there's other things in the house. You walk around and you see like paint cans all over the house and stuff. The fumes that could do something to you from paint. Undry. There's so many other factors. Mold in the house. Everything could give you some sort of hallucination or some kind of effect that you think you're seeing things when you're not. So yeah,
definitely. And I'm just like everyone else. I like to watch the shows too. I take them with a grain of salt, but they're entertaining for me, some of the shows. But I definitely don't put any stock to them. But the thing is with those shows, I feel like they've got people thinking if there's something in your house, it has to be something terrifying. But a lot of times, yes, exactly. Like there's some kind of black mass shadow, like they're terrifying. Something's coming to get you. It's trying to kill you. People, I feel like they can watch some of the shows and think that if there's something there, it's got to be bad. It's got to be scary. It's going to be after me. Is this thing going to try to kill me? And a lot of times they're just trying to coexist with you if there is anything there, or it's just passing through, or, it just wants to communicate, something. Most of the time they're not trying to, upend your life and torture you. But, but that's what we're there for, to help people out and to ease their minds. That's scary. It is. If you don't know, it can be terrifying. Even the smallest things, normal people who aren't into this, I shouldn't say normal because we're normal, but you know what I'm saying. But,
that's questionable sometimes.
You know what I mean? But if they hang on 1 second. Okay, up there. Most people that, if we just had a door closed, we wouldn't be freaking out. But a lot of people would, and they'd be wanting to call up, and they're scared of that. And that's, I think, a lot of times, most of the residential cases that I tend to do are a lot of making the homeowner or business owner feel better. Just okay, because we will go over and explain why this can be, because we make a lot of points that people aren't thinking about, like the EMF and the mold, things like that. A lot of people who are having things happen in their house, they just automatically, like I said, default to something sinister, when there are a lot of times reasonable explanations, or just, it could still be something paranormal, but it's not there to hurt you, and a lot of what we do is just easing the minds of people who are scared and feel vulnerable.
Or you want to try to give them some sort of closure in any kind of help you could give them.
Exactly. Making them feel better.
I know when I did that was the best feeling I ever got, when you gave closure to somebody. When you go on investigation, what's your best, tools, what's the best piece of equipment that you use? I know I've been noticing people using certain ones, but
everyone has their own favorites, I feel like, and it depends on the investigation. So if I'm going into a residential, I'm not going to bring like an SLS and things like that, but I will say for fun, when I do my fun investigations, I really like using the SLS, but it has to be used right. You can't, because things like shadows, mirrors, things like that can cast a look like there's a person there. So you have to interact with it and see if it's responding to the things that you're saying. And I've seen on SLS things high five us and do specific things that we've asked them to do. And one time we have a Tampa theater here. It's a haunted theater. And I was there for a Halloween thing one time where with this other team that I wasn't a part of this one team, but it was the first people I investigated with that I don't really have anything to do with them anymore. But went a couple of cool places within Tampa with them. And the Tampa Theater is one. It's a beautiful theater, just absolutely stunning. And I was playing with the SLS there, and I was just walking around and kind of seeing if I could pick anything up. And right in the front, on the main floor, there's all the chairs, before the stage. And I'm aiming it around, and I see something pop up. And, I can obviously pass it, and there's nothing there. And all of a sudden, it's wiggling around, and I watch it in the camera jump onto the pole, climb up the pillar, and then disappear into the ceiling. I wish so bad that I had gotten that on camera. But those SLSs are heavy, and I had it with both of my hands. And honestly, I wasn't expecting something like that to pop up that I would, need to be recording with, but I so wish that I was. And I've watched it do things like, hey, can you move from that chair to the other? And then you can see the spirit move from one chair to the other. So you have to use that in a way that they can communicate, and they're kind of, I don't want to say taking commands, but you're asking them to do things and they're doing it for you. So that's my favorite thing, because I can't see things with my eyes, like I don't see apparitions. I don't see ghosts with my eyes. That's almost my way of being able to see them. But like I said, if you use it right. But if you're on an investigation, like you said, Anthony, you want to do an EMF sweep. So you definitely have to have that. You need your thermal. EVPs. Like EVPs are a really good thing to have on a residential, I feel like, or any location, because that if that voice is there, that voice is there. And you can hear things. I'm not talking gurgles. I'm talking about when actual words come out and respond to the things that you're saying. That's really compelling. Ovilus is good if it's if they want to communicate with it and it's working. And simple things like REM pods, just kind of know where they're at. And if they'll communicate that way, touch it, make it go off. If someone's here, can you make it go off? I feel like most pieces of equipment can be useful if used in the right way. And you definitely need more than one piece of equipment. You can't go into a location with just an EMF and be like, it's haunted, or just a thermal camera, or just an SLS. You have to have multiple things that you're using every time that can kind of correlate with each other to prove the existence of it. That's how I feel anyways.
Yeah. I mean, most investigations now, if you do a private and stuff, the homeowners rather hear you with EVP, or even a spirit box spitting out words, or any kind of device that I think they accept that more than if you say, "Oh, this grandpa went off in the room," because they watch TV so much that that's what they go to. Everything is with a vocal now, So that's what I've been noticing a lot. And I got a suggestion about your SLS. I know you say it gets heavy.
Yes.
You ever use a monopod?
A what?
Monopod.
No, I've never heard of that before.
It's a tripod with one leg.
Oh, a tripod.
But it's a one-legged tripod. It's a monopod. I
haven't used that before, no. All of the SLSs I've used are on the thing.
Yeah, but I mean, you could take it and you put it down, you adjust it, and then when you want to go to location, you put it down to the floor, and you can hold it, and that'll hold your support of the weight. So you can have.
That's great. I've never heard of those.
Like you said, it gets heavy. It gets heavy and pulls
I love
down.
that.
So you put it on that and supports it, to go back and forth with whatever device you use on that, because on the SLS, what I use with mine is also, I have an additional camera that I hook up to I have my SLS on. I don't know if you ever seen them. They're like what are they called? They put cameras on. It looks like they use it for skateboarding and stuff like that. Those little round. And I put
like the GoPro type things.
Well, I guess they could use it for GoPros too. Yeah, but it's like the user. It's around. It's like a device. I got a couple in here, but I gotta move my whole screen and everything to get to them. But it's I put my monitor on top, and I put the camera on the bottom, and on the end I put a camera, additional camera to record on.
Oh.
Because when you use because you know how short the battery life is on the SLSs.
Oh yeah, even shorter if something wants to drink.
Now you're recording with the SLS, and you have the recorder, and the SLS, the battery goes faster. So you just
And
have
doesn't it
that
seem
there.
like it goes even faster when stuff's kicking up and you're like, yeah, things are happening. Dead.
So I've been using that with a separate camera, and with the monopod, you could adjust the leg. I mean, tripods sell them with the monopod already in it, because I have those. And you just pull the monopod out, and you just walk with it, so you could walk with it. And then when you go to
We've
location,
always got tripods. So now
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
wondering if we've had that this whole time and not known.
I mean,
It's
there's
possible.
tripods with them. I mean, you could walk around. I originally walked around with a tripod with mine, and I would go to location and put it down and get my recordings and stuff. Because like you said, it does get heavy after a while.
It does, definitely. And you can't tell here, but I'm basically a midget. I'm only 5'1". So, I mean, can you picture me like my midget self, like holding this giant thing?
That's how I am.
But I mean, there's different ways you could use it. Like I said, you could put that walking with it's a different story. SLSs shouldn't be walked around with pretty much. They should be in a location where they're focusing on a certain thing. You know what I mean? But the
I know what you're saying.
works a
Yeah.
lot.
I feel like I like to use it in the theater. I liked it at, and then when I go to old jails, I like that. Sometimes jails tend to be, some of them, active. The old Jasper jail, old Hamilton County jail. If anyone ever gets a chance to go there, it's very active and it's a really good time. And that's in northern Florida, so close to the Georgia line. I've been there 3 times, and every time it's very active.
Really?
Yeah, it's a good place. So but the SLS it's a lot of fun if you use it right, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Some people don't. I know some people don't like to use it because it there can be like people popping up on it from shadows and things, like I said, but you just have to know what you're doing with it. And
that's right. You gotta know your surroundings.
What's that?
You gotta know your surroundings.
Oh, exactly.
You have to definitely know your surroundings, because if you don't, that's especially with SLS. You can get so many false, because it tries to map out. I seen it mapping out tombstones.
Oh yeah, it maps out weird stuff. There was in a jail I had, there was a glass case, and it was mapping out on the glass case from the items in the glass case. Chairs, pipes, things like that. I mean, it will map out all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, because what is supposed to map out? It's supposed to get a figure of a person. That's why it's always looking for the head, the shoulders, the arms, the legs, whatever. So it's always trying to map out something, because it is for video games. That one is actually made for a video game. And the original SLS, the cameras itself, were actually used for 3D. They actually put it there, and they get 3D printing, or they actually the 3D printers.
I would love to have a 3D printer, actually.
And that's what it's pretty much. You have those cameras, you put your face in there, and it gets that 3D effect.
I feel like I would become obsessed with making things with a 3D printer, because I tend to, when I get fixated on something, obsess on it, and then next thing I know, I'm making all kinds of crazy stuff on that thing.
You have the whole background and back of you with all different things you made.
Oh yeah, I mean, I want one of those for sure.
Maybe Santa Claus will be good to you.
What's that?
Santa Claus. He'll be good to you this year.
Me? Or are you talking to my kid?
No, maybe you.
Maybe we'll see. We'll see if Santa Claus is. Oh, that's right. His elves are here. We've got the elf on the shelf thing going now. So his magical elves move every night to new locations.
Nice.
So we have the warrenlegacy.com up. How do we find you for PERS?
We have a Facebook page for Paranormal Existence Research Society, and you can reach us through there. You can also go, let me pull up the actual website. I wonder if I can send it to you in, there it is. I'm going to send it to you in, I can't get in the chat. It's saying join the chat. It's making me connect a YouTube thing, and I don't even know my YouTube. So I'm going to pop it over to you in your chat real quick. So you see,
Lady V
I don't
just
know why.
posted
Yeah, so if you're asking me questions, and I'm not answering in the chat, it's because it won't let me type in the chat. Sorry.
It won't?
No, it won't let me type in the chat.
So I had warrenlegacy.com and Lady V has warrenlegacyfoundation.com.
Let me see which it is. A lot of people go to the Facebook page. It's going to be warrenlegacyfoundation.com.
Okay.
And those are going to be, and then if you want to, like I said, the other team I'm on, FPTS, if you want to reach out to that is on Facebook as well, as just as FPTS, Florida Paranormal Truth Seekers. So, and that will hopefully be back up and running soonish once our leader gets a little more settled.
Yeah, paranormal. Okay, I just got it.
It's funny, you start a conversation and you think before you do these podcasts, it's like, what am I going to talk about for 2 hours? But then you find yourself talking about paranormal stuff and you realize that you could probably just go on all day about it.
Right?
We got a lot of people that come on the show that way. They're like, what are we going to talk about for 2 hours? Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
We will pop up something. We can talk about anything.
Yeah. But if we chose a topic like flowers, I'd be sitting here like this.
I wouldn't even know I can't name most of the flowers. I can name a rose. I can tell you.
I don't know anything about
but
I have a black thumb. I don't know anything about gardening or whatever. But this stuff I could talk about forever.
Exactly. I killed a cactus once. I had a cactus and I killed it. You don't even need to water it. And I killed it.
I had a palm tree and it lasted for years. And then all of a sudden one day I walked in the room and I was like, what the hell just happened to that thing?
I can't keep anything like that alive.
When I was living in Jersey for a short time there, I had a big backyard where I had tomatoes, I had peppers, I had kagutses, I had all kinds of stuff growing back there. But now I
love gardens. I love gardens. And they're so nostalgic for me because my dear father, who has passed away, but when we were young, he always had a big garden in the backyard. And I feel bad for him now because when we were kids, he used to pick the food off of it and have food fights in the backyard. And now I look back and I'm like, we just destroyed all of his hard work. But gardens are so nostalgic for me. Food garden, like vegetable gardens.
Yeah, I used to love doing that. I was just saying, that's what we do. We grow our own stuff.
I love it. I would like to have a garden again someday when I have the time and energy to grow one.
Good luck with that.
Oh, seriously. I just have to show you guys. So you know how my child was behind the chair drawing? So he handed me this and it said, keep up the good work.
He's such a little cheerleader. I love it.
Isn't it precious? Oh my gosh.
That's so sweet. What a nice kid.
I like his little ninja. Every time we're behind you, his little ninja jumping like a cartwheel.
Yeah, he's doing cartwheels and he was like rolling across the floor.
Right? All of a sudden, I really now wish I would have just been like, what are you talking about? I don't see anything.
I know. That would be freaking everybody out. The audience would be like, what was that? What was that?
And
Like,
then
no, what are you talking about?
if you like sent Anthony and me a message, we would have been like, we have no idea what you're talking about. We don't see anything. This would have been the best show ever.
That's funny.
Oh my gosh, that would have been amazing. Coulda, woulda, shoulda, right?
So, I mean,
thank you, V.
You're going to be going any time out? Are you planning on any investigations? Are you still, you're done for the year, or?
I think in December, probably done for the year. We've got so much stuff going on. I've got so much stuff going on in December. We do have MegaCon coming up. We scheduled May Stringer House that's in Brooksville, Florida. I don't know if anyone's been there, but it's a great location. I've been there 3 times before, and it's one of the most haunted locations in Florida, if not the haunted location.
I read about that place, and it sounds amazing.
It is. You should come down sometime and go. The thing is, it gets booked out months in advance. So ours isn't till April, I think it is, when we're doing it. Mm-hmm. But other stuff comes up and cases and things like that. So as far as planning places to go out and investigate, that's like our next one that we've got planned. But stuff pops up and we go here and there and like to go to cemeteries and things like that. And then any residential that pops up, stuff like that. So, but it's just one of those busy times of the year. It's like Halloween and then Thanksgiving and then Christmas. And then my birthday is in a couple weeks and I'm going to be 29 again. And then you've got New Year's and then you've got, and so it's one thing after the next within the span of like 3 months.
And you're the same age as my wife.
What?
You're the same age as my wife.
Right?
Yeah, 29 for the last.
Yeah, I love it. I'm youthful, forever youthful. I like that.
Anthony, that's how all women are.
I'm really 95. See?
You're 95. You said you're going to be 95?
Yeah, I'm going to be 95, yeah.
And a half.
You're looking amazing.
See that?
Amazing.
You always tell you're old. You tell you're older. So when they look at you like, wow, really? You look so good. Like, yeah, I'm 95. Yeah.
And a half.
That's what my body feels right about now. So
nobody tells you that the second you hit 40, something will be hurting every day, all the time. Like,
well, don't you know that that's why our parents were horrible to us?
Yeah, nobody tells you this. No, literally, like you turn like on the time you were born, on the day you were born, 40 years before, on your 40th birthday, something starts hurting. Like the stroke of midnight, my arm hurts all of a sudden. It's hurting for 8 weeks. It's just ridiculous. Something always aching. Something to look forward
paranormal.
to. If you're not 40. What?
Paranormal.
It's all paranormal. It's attachments, right? It's all attachments.
Yeah. It's not me.
I was just going to say,
attachment.
It's not you. It's your past life.
It's my past life coming back to haunt me. Does glucosamine get rid of my past life?
No.
That's haunting
you didn't know about that in your past life.
Bones and muscles. What can I do to get rid of this past life that's hurting my body every day?
You have to drink Coca-Cola with cocaine.
I thought you said cocaine. I was like, oh my God. I don't think I've ever
your past life.
Back in the 1960s when they still had cocaine in Coca-Cola?
I'm such a wuss, okay? Like, I've never done a hard drug. Like, if I take too many ibuprofen, I'm like, I'm going to die. Do I need to call the poison line? Like, I'm absolutely terrified of killing myself with a substance. I've never tried anything.
Well, it wasn't a hard drug in your past life. It was Coca-Cola.
It was Coca-Cola. I do drink some Coca-Cola once in a while. But the thing with Coca-Cola is it never quenches your thirst. You have a drink, it makes you more thirsty. And the next thing you know, you've drank a 2-liter of Coca-Cola. And you don't sleep for a week.
Diet cocaine.
Diet cocaine? Sugar-free cocaine? Cocaine zero?
The AI cocaine.
My kid's probably like, and now he's going to go to school tomorrow and be like,
my mom and her friends were talking about AI cocaine. What is that?
About ghosts and cocaine.
No,
Yes.
cocaine makes you see ghosts.
You know what? I actually wonder a lot of times if things like certain crimes and stuff were committed because of some kind of paranormal thing. I know there's a couple docs out right now that touch on it, but there are some stories where, and I know people are like, they use the insanity defense, but sometimes I do wonder how many are out there that actually have something to do with something paranormal, even just not necessarily being like possessed and committing a crime, but an influence of some kind, like people who aren't themselves, something's oppressing them and they're out of their minds at that time. I do wonder sometimes how many crimes have been committed by people that are oppressed or just not themselves because of a spirit that's in the house.
Well, didn't Warrens have a case like that where a young man?
They did.
The devil made me do it. And also in New York, we had a guy back in the 70s called Son of Sam, and a dog was talking to him, telling him,
my gosh.
Chill. You know what I mean?
I wish my cats could talk to me. I just want to know sometimes what they want.
There was an exorcist who made, and I put this in the comment section earlier. There was an exorcist who stated that there are many people in asylums, even to this date, that are not insane. They literally have an attachment or an infestation.
It's so sad too. It's so sad to think about, and they're not going to get help in there. They're just going to live with it. And
well, there are so many psychiatrists or psychologists, and they will not admit to the fact that there is something paranormal because it's not, it's not within the guidelines of their scientific knowledge. So they are not going to admit to it. And they're just going to say, oh, it's, paranormal. Okay, now you're definitely crazier.
Well, there needs to be paranormal psychologists, like people specifically for determining hauntings, but that have a degree as well.
They do parapsychology classes, but
yeah.
Do you guys think that they would even follow those guidelines?
I don't know. I think that people will follow guidelines. Yeah. Because they want to keep their, careers and their jobs, and they don't want reputations and stuff like that. But it is like, there's not really somebody that, like when people come to us and we have residential and it's determined like maybe the person is dealing with a mental illness, at that point you kind of just, we have some like psychologists on the team and things like that can help, but it's a tricky area, because some people don't want to believe that that's what it is. They want to believe that it's not that. It has to be something else.
Yeah.
The person has to be open to even believing that's what it is.
I know of a doctor's office where there are two, is it psychologists or psychiatrists? One follows the mainstreamed, like doctors, and then one is Buddhist. And he, like the regular doctor, if you told him, oh yeah, I speak to ghosts or I'm a psychic medium or whatever, he would immediately put you into an asylum. He would put you in for 72 hours or whatever. The other one, he believes you 100%, and he'll ask you questions and he'll see what you think or feel. And he believes in all of it. He would absolutely be fine with everything you're saying and try to follow his own guidelines, but he'll, take that into account also.
That's good that there's somebody out there like that, because I feel like a lot of people need help and they're not. I feel like a lot of people feel like they're not heard.
That's right. A lot of psychics back in the day were putting in, because they felt they seen things, they heard things, they could read. They were actually put away. They were tested on, and family members didn't, they weren't open to it. So they actually thought that the people were crazy. They thought their sons, niece, nephew, whatever it might be, were crazy. So
Well, lots of women were crazy.
Yeah.
Well, and even like witches, people practicing witchcraft, they were just murdered for doing that.
Yeah.
Sad.
I would have been in lots of trouble, not just
You
for
would have been in
witchcraft,
tons of
but menopause.
But what?
Menopause, speaking my own piece, whatever it was going to be, I would be there.
I thought you said menopause. I was like, what?
Yeah, they would have put us away for menopause.
Oh my goodness.
Right, Anthony?
They wouldn't put me away from menopause. I'm a man.
No.
They would
would
put
have been
they would
menopause.
Menopause.
And I'm surprised they didn't just like chain you up for your 1 week out of the month, your like monthly thing, I don't want to gross any guys out on here by saying it, but you know what I'm saying. I'm surprised we weren't just put away.
Back in the day, men were, I people going to say things about me, but I know one thing. When I went to Trans-Allegheny, they were saying that it was like $20, $10 or $20, something like that. And if your wife, you don't want to be with your wife no more, you just drop her off, give them $10, $20 donation, they take her. And no, nothing. They just take her and that's it.
That is crazy.
Hormonal, whatever hormonal.
Yeah, it didn't matter. I mean, women were put away quickly, for, I know there was cases where men were killed in war and the wife and the husband, the wife, and she couldn't take care of the kids and stuff. So they would take the whole family and put them into a home, into mental facilities.
That is so sad. And those locations are very sad. The ones that have housed, the mentally ill or the physically ill, who died from polio, anything. They're just such sad locations. You can feel it. You can feel how sad it is when you go in there.
And it's so overrun with all these people that had absolutely nothing wrong with them, but they were just trying to get rid of them out of the house, like.
Right.
So sad.
See, I have an autistic son. Back then, they would just put him away.
Mm-hmm.
They would just put him away, And I got him, he lives here.
I'm so glad we're advanced now. Can you imagine just from like the mid 1900s even to today, how much we've advanced in the medical field and with mental health? Can you even imagine 100 more years, what it would be like? It's weird to think about,
Mm-hmm.
But you know what thought weirds me out the most of everything? So if you're religious, and you believe in God or you believe in, whatever you believe in that you think was here first. Well, the thought that always haunts me is, well, how did that first thing ever get here? So if you believe in God and you say like God created the world and, animals and people, dinosaurs, whatever. Okay, well, where did God come from? Like that thought always kind of haunts the back of my mind that you don't really know where the first thing ever came from.
Yeah.
I think about that stuff all the time. Like not even just that, but who thought to put mustard on a sandwich? Like
who thought to put pineapple on pizza? Sorry.
No, don't say that.
Who thought to murder an animal and cook it up? Like who thought of that the first time? Like the first everything, who thought to do that,
Who thought to grind up mustard seeds and make the mustard to put it on the sandwich?
Well, the first time a woman got pregnant ever, and delivered a child, can you imagine? Like, oh my God, something's coming out of my body. You know what I'm saying?
Or to cut the umbilical cord. Who would even think to do that?
No, I mean, just the first of everything. It's like the first time, you ever, got your monthly thing. It's like you're just all over the place and like, am I dying? Like you'd have to think that you're dying of some kind of disease at that point. Like something's stabbing me from the inside. I'm dying. I've been murdered from the inside. Like something has to be taken me out.
And then something just falls out. Kevin said, or who decided to put bourbon in your Coke or cocaine?
Somebody very smart, Kevin. Somebody who has very good taste.
That's I lay awake all the time and think of those things.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm not thinking about menopause or menstrual cycle, so that's not me. There's two things I'm not concerned with. Well, I am.
Well, you
You know,
don't need
I
to
am
be.
married.
That's the thing. But apparently, Jerry and I, we are on the same wavelength, and we think of these crazy things all the time. I was even
All the
thinking
time.
remember when they had the big salmonella outbreak when the eggs went bad?
Mm-hmm.
All these eggs were bad. I thought to myself, okay, so if these eggs are bad, what would have happened to these chickens if they actually came to term, they hatched? Would those chickens be deformed?
Oh.
Would they have like a low IQ? What would happen to the chickens?
Oh. I don't know, but now I'm going to be thinking about that when I'm laying in bed tonight.
So what
This is
came
what I
first,
do.
salmonella or the egg? I don't know.
We could have a whole show just off of what ifs.
What
Like,
ifs?
how did somebody come up with this? How did somebody come up with that? You know,
Yeah.
it's crazy. I could talk about that all day.
Same. We're gonna have a conversation about that someday.
We are, because it just weirds me out, those thoughts, you know?
What
Ugh.
if? What if?
He's like, I don't think about that.
Anthony's like, I don't know, as long as I have gabagool.
Right?
I'm
One, how did even like hard drugs, how did somebody think to come up with this concoction to make you feel so high? You know, like anything, alcohol. How did anything come up?
Stuff like that, I think, were more natural things. Later on, the drugs took over, you know, the pharmaceuticals. But before that, people were getting high off of leaves in the forest or different things.
No, I know, but that's the thought. Like,
But they
who's
were
thinking,
like,
let me eat this leaf? Like, let me sniff this. Like, you know, it's just like crazy to think about.
yeah. I mean, you're hungry, you eat anything, leaves. Well,
He's not haunted by these thoughts, Maureen. Just you and I are. We are alone in our.
I'm not haunted, I'm not by the thoughts. I mean, I left a lot of my brain cells back in the 70s and the 80s, so things like that. Yeah.
See, this is why we say to our kids, leave me alone. I have too much shit on my mind.
Oh, you know they don't listen to that.
No, but this is the shit that's on our mind.
Right?
What
Someone
if?
needs to make a meme about that. Like, Mom, I need to talk to you. Not now. I'm trying to think of something, and it's like some bubble of something crazy. Like, where did the first this come from?
That looks like an algebra problem.
Like, and how did somebody come up with blue cheese? Who was just eating moldy cheese
I don't
and
know,
being
but
like,
they
this
were
is delicious?
brilliant.
Don't get me wrong. I love my moldy blue cheese. Like, I think it's delicious. But who's thinking, like, let me
Especially
put this
wings.
disgusting cheese on my salad? You know, me. I mean, I would.
My buffalo wings.
Who thought of putting blue cheese with buffalo wings?
A buffalo wings.
I don't care where it came from. It tastes good.
Like every
Yeah.
time you make something, who put this whole recipe together? How did you get from stage 1 to stage 75?
Mm-hmm.
Like how did you know to put so many cups together?
I need a gummy and to just look at Jerry's background.
It was freaking me out when I first looked at it because I was like, are they just stripes or is that oh no, that's light.
They're curtain lights, yes. They
That
like,
is amazing.
yeah, they can just sit there still, or I can make them sparkle. I've got them sparkling right. I just love
I
light.
make it sparkle all the time.
I love it. This is where I work all day. During the day, I work from home, and I just have them, and that's my son. and I just have them going like all day long while I'm working. It makes me feel, I don't know, not as cocooned at home working. I like my little environment. On that note, though, I must put my offspring to sleep. But I had a great time talking to you guys.
It was so much fun. Thank you for being with us.
I would love to talk more about this stuff. It's so much fun.
Absolutely.
So
Anytime.
tonight, as we're winding up, we have to have a paranormal dating game and a what if show. So you have to come back.
I love it. Let's get these both rolling. I think it's great.
Dating game, and then what if? You
I love it.
The same thing. What if?
We could just come up with a list of like the craziest what if, or how did this occur? I love it.
See, now this is how we're going to find the people to set you up with. They have to be able to answer some of these questions and come up with some of these questions.
I love it. You have to be able to tell me how this.
Kevin
Yep.
says, let's do a crossover with our Monday night show.
Yeah.
What's the Monday night show?
They have a show.
It's called
Kevin, is it
Scream.
called Scream?
Late Night Scream, I think it's called.
Late Night Screams? Great show.
Oh.
They
Make sure I'm saying it right. Late Night Scream?
You'll have to plug it because I never get to watch things live. I work Monday nights, so I don't come across really anything. So
It's
you'll have
new.
to-
It's
Yeah?
new. Yeah.
Monday Night Screamers.
Monday
Okay.
Night Scream.
But
Is
then
that
he's-
on, where's that
I
at?
watched
Is that
it
on
last week.
Facebook?
Pretty cool.
It's on ERRT, just like ours.
Oh,
It's
okay.
actually,
Some of it Monday.
Oh, okay. Nice. Yeah, I want to watch it. That would be fun.
Thank you
You
guys.
are
That was the
awesome.
show. Jerry, you're a great guest. We love you.
Oh, thank you. I love doing this. I love to talk about all this stuff anytime you guys want to have me on. Sorry that I had to reschedule last time. I apologize.
It's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, family's first. You know, see what the
Always.
other says? Family's always first.
I love that. Oh, I love
My
it.
family.
So you just give us we're going to be working on this dating game show and with the crossover, obviously.
So much fun. I love it. You can get these lights on Amazon.
Okay, so you could say that. You can get them on Amazon, Kevin.
Yes. They're just curtain lights.
You can get like
find a bunch of
a
them.
double and crisscross them so they fall in the middle of them too.
Yes. I was thinking about putting some little horror memorabilia like scattered on that back wall. Or like
Spiders on them.
vines, you know, like leaf vines. That would be cool too.
Put spiders on them.
What's that?
Bats.
Put
Bats?
spiders.
That would look nice.
I have bats on my curtains.
Spiders and bats. They don't come with gummies,
She has
unfortunately.
bats in her
Oh, I
room.
like those. Listen, I love bats. I do. I think they're the cutest things ever.
They are adorable.
I
Everyone knows
love
they come with
them.
gummies.
What? They don't. Unfortunately, they don't
Yeah,
ship
they don't.
those over Amazon yet. Unfortunately. Could you imagine though if we all did have some gummies and then we had that "how did this happen" talk?
And
Oh
they're
my
glittery.
gosh, I want to pet it. It's so
They're
cute. I
glittery.
wish it was real.
And they just clip.
I love it. Did you get that on Amazon like everything else?
The Dollar Tree.
I love the Dollar Tree. I decorated my entire living room with Dollar Tree Christmas things. I hit up the Dollar Tree. I love me.
You
some
start
Dollar
there,
Tree.
and what you can't find, you go somewhere else, like Hobby Lobby.
Dollar Tree, Hobby Lobby, Dollar General, those kinds of stores. And then, you know, you pretty much can get, sometimes you see some cool things at Marshalls or TJ Maxx that aren't all that expensive, but you know, I'm not going to go there to just decorate the whole house. It would cost like $300 probably or more. But that's why I like my thriftiness.
This bat does turn into Dracula. And
I
I
love
do
it.
have to say, if I had the ability, I would explode out of a cave into bats. That would be the best way.
Yes. Don't you wish we could pick
Yeah.
that? Like what you would
if-
do?
What
What
if-
if you could pick what
Yeah.
you would do?
How you would enter a room, explode
Yes.
into bats.
One, I got one
You
question.
start the show. The back's
What?
exploding. And then you
That
start
would be
the show.
amazing. This makes me think then before I leave, sadly, if you could pick a superpower, what would it be?
That.
Well, a typical one, you know, that you see. But just assuming
Invisibility.
that you can already explode into bats coming out of somewhere.
Invisibility.
Yes, that would be mine too. I wouldn't want to hear people's thoughts because it's like I think that would be
Totally mind
tormenting.
control. What I can
What?
tell
Mind control?
you, total mind
I'm
control.
hiding. I am. I'm a
Whatever I
highlighter.
tell
I'm
you, you
hiding.
do.
What's
That's
that?
what my superpower. Whatever I tell people, they got to do. That'd be my
I don't like
superpower.
that for you. I really don't like
This
that for
sounds like
you.
it could lead to jail for somebody.
Not for me.
So what would you tell people to do? Like what kinds of things?
I
I'm not
don't even
talking
know
like
if I wanna
making
know
dinner
that.
woman. I mean, like what would you talk? Are you talking like getting your dishes done? Or are you talking like, you know, go streak through that park? Like what are
Rob
you
a
talking?
bank.
I'm talking about bringing your bank vault to me.
That's what I just said. See, this is why I don't like this.
You said you're gonna leave it. Not for me. Hey, I like your car. I want it. Okay, here's the keys.
Anthony.
That would be amazing.
That would be.
It would be.
Then would there be some kind of crime where like somebody stole my car, but I can't quite explain it, but they took over my mind and I gave them my vehicle?
It's like, yeah.
Could that be something to that? That'd be crazy.
No, it's like you would have them sign it over to you. You got to do it the right way.
Kevin and I think too much alike, and then Kevin wants Anthony to work for.
I wish I could go up and just be like, give me your car. I'd have to like do a little, something to get that car.
Yeah.
I just can't bring myself to do it. I can't bring myself to do it. Those days are long gone, okay?
I like your car. I need the keys. Okay, here.
You don't even have to talk them into it or anything.
No. My biggest thing was because I think about, after you retire, you just got a lot of time in your hands to think about stupid things. And,
but not the same things.
I mean, I feel like if you're a woman, you have a lot of time to think about stupid things too. That's all we do.
I would tell people, put me in your will. I'm not doing nothing well.
Now that is complete mastermind right there. Absolutely. Yeah. All of a sudden, like the lawyers are working overtime to come bring you your riches from all these people who put you in their wills.
Just put me in your will. Leave me everything.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
I might have to rethink this one, Jerri. Kevin wants all of us to do a show on Friday night for some adulting.
Oh, that would be fun. And every other Friday, I'm kid free, so I could get extremely like vile and as inappropriate as you would like. I won't have little ears around me. No earmuffs. I don't have to code things. I get it straight out.
Oh,
you can use your hair as a mustache. It's already started.
My hair I have left, it's thinning now.
You want to trade? I'll trade.
Yes. Could you imagine yourself with my hair?
See?
You would look like the 70s hairband or something.
You're like, bring back my old. I used to have hair long like that back in the 70s.
This is going to be
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Did you guys see? There was a meme that went around because when you think back to old sitcoms, like the Brady Bunch and Alice, how she was actually only like 40. So then they're like, well, look at it and put modernized hair on these characters. And somebody was doing that. And like my mind was blown. I was like, oh my God, it was the hair that made them look so old. No offense, Anthony. Like, I'm talking women.
Because when I think back to my Nana, she looked super old. But it was the polyester bell bottoms. It was, the hair that kind of came towards her face, or the wigs.
The pixie perms that are
the big jewel. Like, it was the clothing and the hair.
It is. But you look back and you watch them and you're like, how?
Yeah, my grandparents were. When I was born, all I remember them as being gray. My whole life.
Me too. My grandpa actually, when he passed away, he's
gray now. Last couple of years, but
I feel like guys get the gray beards first a lot before their hair. Look at the gray beards. But my grandpa was in his 60s and he didn't have a gray hair when he died. I'm hoping I get that gene.
Yeah,
I know. Well, I don't have them yet. Cross my fingers.
Before I go totally white at the top, it'd be all gone. Be flesh tone before it goes white.
I think the flesh tone will look good. I can see you with a fully bald head. I think it would look good.
You're almost there anyway.
Right?
Well, I got so many dents in my head through the years, but getting smacked in them by different things like baseball bats and all kinds of stuff that pool sticks happens. I got so many dents in my head. If I try to shave it now, it look like the moon.
Oh my gosh!
Braiders all over the place. So
Swiss cheese head.
Oh my gosh, Swiss cheese head. I love it. Oh my
Oh
god.
boy. I'm glad
Look,
people
you
came on
lasted the
tonight
whole
to
show.
listen about paranormal.
I did last the whole show. It just happened.
It's
See
inevitable.
Things happen when you start talking
We
about
draw-
fun things.
We draw you in. You can't leave now. The door's
Now I'm here
locked.
for the night. We're here till midnight. My poor kid will go to school looking like someone with a hangover.
Which we done too in the back in the old days.
Right? Exactly.
Anthony, Yvonne has a cure for you. She said, here in the UK, they just invented a cure for baldness. It's a fat injection from the thigh, and it works.
I got a lot of fat in my thighs, so I should get a hair like looking like you guys going down my ass.
Oh my gosh. I love it. That is so funny.
Thank you, Wanda. Maybe I'll come to the UK and get some of my ass injections. Take it out.
She wants to know if you want the link.
Yeah, I'll get
All
a
right.
link.
He is behind me whispering for me. He's ready for bed. So I'm going to go. Oh,
No, I didn't.
right.
See,
Like I can hear.
he just ratted you out. No.
Well, no, he said, no, I'm not. I'm whispering at the game because all I can hear is him back there whispering.
Just
And I
wants
thought
to
it was back there going, Mom, come on. I didn't even realize
it wasn't him at all.
It wasn't him at all. It was the baby behind me. Oh my goodness. You guys were fun to talk
I want
to.
the link for that site. The only links I have is sausage links. So,
Goofy said, good night, Jerry.
Good night, Oopie. Oopie.
Night,
All right,
everyone.
You said it right.
okay. I guess
Y'all let her attend the child.
I will tell you
I
because
know.
even if he doesn't want to go to bed now, he has to because it'll take till like 10 to get him to sleep. So, but I had so much fun talking to you guys, and I would love to do it again sometime.
Absolutely. We love
it was
you.
great. It was great chatting with you. Glad I met
Thank
you.
you.
You gonna be at Gettysburg this year?
Yep, we will be there. We even already have a hotel room booked.
Yeah, me
So
too.
I'm very
I've been there
excited. I had
last
a really good
5
time
years.
at Gettysburg.
There he goes. Hey, how you
There's my
doing
little-
back there?
My little redhead.
You
Let's just
go
say
to
hi. Which way?
sleep? We go with you. We can see you.
I love how they're so shy after they talk and talk and talk and talk.
Mm.
What?
I love how they're so shy after they talk and talk and talk.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Don't let that fool you. His birthday was a Monday.
Oh,
He just
happy
turned
birthday.
Yeah, I say happy. I saw. I showed them your work of art.
That's good. You
The
did
ghost
you did a
hand
good job.
popping out of nowhere. I'm gonna pop out of the studio and go
don't do
take
it.
care of
Yeah.
Thanks
him.
for
But
being with us. We love you
you're
so
welcome.
much.
And
We'll
thanks
talk-
everyone for listening. I had a lot of fun.
We'll talk to you soon.
We did too.
Bye,
so
guys.
Have a good night.
Bye.
Good night, little man.
Well, that was great. We love Jerry. She's a sweetheart.
That was
And
a
we'll
good
have to
show.
have her back. Yeah, I love her.
Even though we didn't, not much paranormal was talked, but it was a good show.
There was enough paranormal, we'll say. We tend to go off track sometimes with our guests.
Yeah, but I mean, she's nice. First time I'm meeting her. I said I might have seen her at the show. I'm not sure. At Gettysburg last year, but this year, well, definitely now I know her, so we'll definitely
You can't
chat.
forget her. You
Know what I
can't
mean?
forget that girl. She's a doll.
No,
So, this was another episode of Dimensions of the Supernatural. I am Maureen Grudzinski, and I'm with my great co-host and big brother, Anthony Simonelli.
hey, I was just here we go. I didn't talk enough tonight. So I just want to say a good night. I want to say if you're going to go out there and investigate. Be safe. You want to look for ghosts, not be a ghost, okay? I want to say, good night and forget about it. Hey.
Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next week. Yvonne, come back and visit with us. We'd love to talk to you more. Have a great night, everybody. Talk to you soon.
Okay.